It's Platt, and today we head to the Great Lakes. That's next to Platt's Beer of the Week. The particular beer we have today comes to us from Saugatuck Brewing. Is their Blueberry Maple Stout. Those three words together were enough to drink me alone. Real quick, a little bit about Saugatuck Brewing. Saugatuck Brewing opened in June 2005 in Douglas, Michigan, located on the sunny shores of Lake Michigan. Even though I've never been up there, from what I gather, it's kind of a touristy spot, a great place summertime to lay on the beach, fish, what have you. So why not have you a ice cold craft beer while you do that in Douglas, Michigan? A little more to the brewery's history. They originally started out on a 3.5 barrel system. For those of you who may not be aware of the term barrel or whatever, a barrel, as far as beer production goes, as far as how it's regulated by the government, is 31 gallons, roughly 2 American kegs. The average keg is 15.5 gallons, so 2 of them is 31 gallons. So they were able to produce basically 7 kegs of beer at a time. That's about as small as a commercial system as you'll find. If you anything smaller, a lot of people will use for home brews. Even though now in the world of the nano breweries, there are breweries that have 1 barrel system, but for the most part, 3.5 barrels is about as small as you're going to get. Luckily for them, though, they didn't have to stay on that 3.5 barrel system long. By the time 2008 came around, they ended up moving across the street to a brand new 25,000 square foot facility, and they upgraded from the 3.5 barrel system to a 10 barrel system. And luckily for Saugatuck, things kept going, and within 5 years, by the time 2013 rolled around, they were able to upgrade to the system they have now, which is a 45 barrel system, or roughly 90 kegs of beer at a time. So you see they've done more than a tenfold increase in production capacity, just the upgrade of the barrel house. So things must be going good in Douglas, Michigan. Real quick, the brewery, their beers are available in roughly a dozen states. They didn't list Nevada, but I found it here, so I included that in the count. The beers are also available in 7 different countries, including China, Canada, and the Ukraine. I want to make a Hunter Biden joke, but I'm not going to because we don't do politics here. So I'll just keep my mouth shut. The brewery itself has 2 different locations. The home base, which is in Douglas, has a tasting room, the production facility, and a restaurant. And their second location is in Kalamazoo, restaurant, tasting room, and I believe they moved the 3.5 barrel system to there, and that's where they do their experimental brews or kind of play around. I would love a 3.5 barrel system to play around myself, but I probably don't need that much beer, so maybe for Christmas, who knows. Real quick, I want to go over some of their other beers. Doing a little research that I've done, I could tell they kind of specialize in kind of the darker, maltier beers. Again, we're trying their Blueberry Maple Stout. They have another beer called Beam Me Up Stouty, like the name. And the beer itself is a coconut stout, so that intrigues me too. Next is their Bourbon Barrel Aged Raspberry Chocolate Stout. There's a lot going on there, and I like a lot of it. I like Bourbon Barrel Aged. I like raspberry. I like chocolate. I love chocolate, and I love stout. So sounds like there's a lot of good stuff going on there. In the kind of theme of dessert-type beers, they also do a Neapolitan milk stout. If you're unfamiliar with the Neapolitan ice cream, it was a multi-flavored ice cream that had different sections. If you open the lid, there's a chocolate section, there's a vanilla section, and a strawberry section. Well, all 3 flavors are in this beer, so definitely something I want to check out. And last but not least, they produce a peanut butter porter. If you've seen any of my videos, you know I've talked about I love peanut butter beers, so I definitely will keep my eye out for that one. Well, with that being said, before we try this beer, though, let's check out the stats. Okay, so to continue with the theme the last few weeks, I'm doing each week, I'm kind of recommending a book as kind of a stocking stuffer or something you may want to get for yourself or the beer drinker in your life. This week's book is called Radical Brewing. It comes to us from Randy Mosher. Randy Mosher is a well-known name in the beer industry, has written several books. This particular book is not necessarily for beginners. I believe the book last week I suggested Extreme Brewing by Sam Calagione. I said that while it did have some more advanced recipes and he did some really unique stuff, that wasn't something that beginners couldn't figure out. And here, some of these recipes are a little more advanced. This book is for someone that's probably done at least 10 to a dozen brews, start off with kits, kind of moved its way into extract brewing or maybe some partial mashes. As far as the recipes in this book, one of the unique and cool things they do is they'll have an all-grain recipe for these different beers, but then where they can, they'll substitute either an all-extract recipe or a partial mash. So if you're not comfortable with all-grain brewing, because that's generally the most advanced level of brewing is the all-grain, if you're not totally comfortable with that, you can still find some extract recipes in here. That being said, some of these recipes are really pushing the envelope. You're not going to find, this book's not about generic pale ale recipes or stouts or bocks or whatever. They really do kind of push the limit. This was a book where I found out about things like kvass, sauté, grut, really some unique beers. I use the term beer loosely because they might not always have hops, so they may flavor it with something different. Some real unique old brews in here that again kind of been lost to time. Also in the back they have a section about creating your own brew system. A little more advanced stuff in here. Kind of gets into the different type of malts, the gravity readings. Each type of malt will give you the different brewing sugar, stuff like that. So for a little more advanced brewers, check out Radical Brewing by Randy Mosher. All right, enough talking about brewing. Let's try this beer that Saugatuck Brewing made just for us. I like to think they made it just for us. All right, let's pour it. Boy, this is dark. But I could tell by just looking through it a little bit, had kind of a purplish tint, so I'm going to say that is from the blueberries. We've got about half a finger of medium colored, khaki head. Boy, I smell the dark malts. Just a faint hint of the blueberry. Let's give her a try. Oh man, that is good. Not a lot of blueberry on there, but you get that maple, and that adds to the body. Again, you can tell this is really dark beer. I think this is only 6% alcohol by volume, so I wouldn't call it a winter warmer. But as far as the body, the flavor, the mouthfeel, it does have that kind of vibe. Man, you do pick up the maple on there. Like I said, a little disappointed the lack of blueberry. And that's probably a tough dance to have with beer. I know I've done some beers with like raspberries before, and it's kind of hard to find that balance. You don't want to overpower, your beer with just the fruit. Then it kind of loses some of the beer quality. So, but that being said, though, this is just a good dark maple stout. Oh yeah, man, that is good. And I do kind of like the fact that it is 6%, because a lot of these beers do get in the 8, 9, 10 range, and you kind of have to watch yourself when you drink a beer that much alcohol. 6%, we're kind of leaving the session area, but still, some of you have 2 or 3 and, still be somewhat functional. But really good beer. Good job, boys, at Saugatuck Brewing. Well, I hope you liked this video. If you did, please subscribe down below. Also, please like the video because it lets YouTube know we're putting out good content. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, or beers that you would like me to try, and I'm still looking, it's again, due to the shutdown thing, just some things just don't seem to be out there much anymore. Well, that being said, until next time, bottoms up.